Hey guys, I'm back. I thought I'd do another video for you because I got this in the mail today, a nice Thorn of Fear in the Night, and unfortunately they sent it in a bubble mailer, and it needs a little bit of work. So one thing is the tabs came off on the case. Not a big deal, case swap. And in any event, this isn't even a real Thorn case, so I would switch it anyway. But the main thing is that on the inside of this, I'll show you closer, the rental place put the security tab on the inside. You can see it in there. And that is it's a tricky place, a sneaky place to put it, but a bad place because it touches the tape. The tape runs along there. So it can damage your tape, and that needs to come off. So the best way to do that, we'll clean that too, is just to open her up. And this is a good example because it also has a spine label. So we'll take that off, and I thought you guys might like to see the process. Okay, so we're going to take the 5 screws out first, and before we do that, we got to deal with the tape label. Usually, I will use a heat gun and take that off. And you got to be careful because it's not really recommended to use the heat gun directly on here. But in the spine labels, you don't have much choice. And I've generally found if you heat it and let it cool 3 times, they usually come off like butter. I attempted a little bit to do that with this one. This one is really stuck on there. And actually, it's already split most of the way. So in this case, it's just from here up. I don't really care. I'm just going to cut the rest of it. And then I can open up the case easily. Usually I'll heat gun it. In this case, it's fine like that. So we're going to take out the screws. And I've got these cool precision drivers, and the top spins independently so you can put pressure on it, and they just come right out. Sometimes though, you'll get a security screw or just ones that are really tight. And this one actually is just really tight in there. I can't quite get it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a drill and put it on the low torque mode and just gently kind of back it out. So actually I don't have quite the right drill bit, and this drill is way overkill anyway, but I'll put it on low, and I kind of cheat, and actually this will fit in here pretty well, so I can actually get it in there and get it to hold, and just gently got it on reverse, and I'll get it in there and just real gently back it out, and that'll get the majority of them that are really stuck. Okay, so we got our screws out here. So now you're going to hold it tight and we're going to flip it over. If you don't, it's upside down and there's pieces that will fall out. So we're going to lift the tab up and then just take the lid off. Okay, so there's our problem area that we want to get off. And we'll just take that top flap off, and then we can see that's the piece we need to pull off. And you may be thinking, why don't you just pull it off when it's on the case? You don't have to open it up. And that might work, but really these are sticky. And you can see it'll come off there, but it's left a lot of residue. And there's a lot of gunk there. So what I usually use, you can use Goo Gone, just regular furniture polish, and you hit it with that, and this is a lot cheaper and it works just like Goo Gone. So I'll just hit it with that and then let it soak for a while. This side's got some gunk too, another security tab. These metal parts usually come off. and we'll just hit it for now. And so usually you spray it, you scrape it, you grow a little coke nail, and then you got a scraper. And do that enough times, however many times you need, until you get it clean. Okay. One other thing, same like Goo Gone, this stuff is greasy. So you don't really want grease in there touching the thing. So I've taken it off. After it's all clean, I'm gonna wash it in soap and water. I'll probably take the metal spring out so it doesn't rust. But wash it in soap and water. If you leave it in the sun, that'll evaporate the alcohol and some of the grease that's involved. But we want to get it so it's not greasy. Okay, so while I got this open, I'll just show you the inside and how to take it out, how to put it back in. You've got your take-up reel, your supply reel, your reel lock here, and this is actually a really early tape, an early thorn. The early thorns use this Japanese tape stock, you can tell. And actually the reel lock's a little different. It stays back when you do it. You kind of pop it up, so that's kind of cool. But when you turn it upside down, you've got these rollers and these metal parts that can fall out. So to take it out, you just lift it gently out. And usually on newer, you have to hold the reel lock and then just pull it out. And you don't want to touch the tape too much, or do that. Then you kind of pull it tight. And so if you need to do a case swap, you can throw it back in. But there's like the rollers. And to put it back on, you just do it the same way. You thread the tape through these two rollers and then around this roller. And there's a metal post here and a flap. And you got to go in between those. Okay, so real quick, I'm just going to put it back in there. So if you kind of keep it tight, that kind of helps. And try not to touch the tape. And it'll just go in there. Get the reel lock to get it in there. And you want to go around this, through there. Just get it in there and then tighten it up. And we're back, good as new. Okay, so we got all that cleaned off. Looking pretty good. Soap and water cleaned all the grease off. I mean, the spring's not going to rust. It's probably steel, but if anything, it's just so you don't damage it. So now we're going to reassemble it. And we're going to pop it in there. You want that spring to be in its little groove. And always lift up on that. And then we'll get it back on there. Let that drop. Flip it over. And we'll get the screws back in. So you could just exchange that flap for another one. Sometimes, you know, they're a few millimeters off. Some from tape stock to tape stock, they don't quite fit. Usually if it's a tape, a value, if it's like a thorn, I'll get a donor flap from a thorn, or just, you know, a full case swap sometimes is easy. But we'll just get this now, all the screws put back. Get it on there tight. I'll probably go back and just tighten them a little bit, but so now we're back together. We got a working flap and it's clean, safe to play.